burning a sports car for money. What? Well, I hope you're having an amazing day because it's time for another episode of Odd News Weekly, the show where we look on the internet for all the craziest, weirdest, wildest news for your viewing pleasure. This week we have a 6-pound phone case that stops you from scrolling, and you have to stay to the very end to hear about this mysterious century-old message in a bottle. So let's get into story number 1. This man burned down his own Porsche for insurance money, but got caught on camera. So on this show we've seen our fair share of dumb ideas, but this one's special. Because a man in Brazil thought he could pull a fast one on his insurance company by setting his own Porsche on fire. But what he didn't know was that the whole thing was caught on CCTV. And you might ask the very reasonable question of, why not just sell it if you want money? But apparently it's because he has a lot of outstanding tax debt on the thing, so I guess the only smart thing is to set fire to your Porsche. Huh? I mean, the footage shows him just casually dousing the vehicle in gasoline, lighting it up, and walking away like he's in a movie. Except, he looked like he was hurting because he didn't stand far away enough when he started the fire, so he looks like he got a little burnt. And to make things worse for this guy, apparently he got caught by the only camera in a several-mile radius. That's gotta hurt. That's gotta sting. So yeah, here's some advice for me, Brick. Maybe don't set your Porsche on fire. Maybe don't. But what do you think? Do you think he deserves jail time? I don't know, it's up to you though. What do you think? But speaking of burning, this new functional water from Japan claims that it can melt your belly fat. You heard that right, it burns your belly fat. Shut up and give me 20, right now. I need it right now, I need it bad. A Japanese company called Ozzy Foods has launched a drink called functional water, and they say it's scientifically proven to help reduce abdominal fat when consumed daily. So essentially, you drink water every day and you get abs, just like God intended. But here's the thing, apparently the key ingredient is indigestible dextrin, which slows down sugar absorption and fat buildup. And if you don't believe me, take a look at this graph. And if you're still not sold, take a look at this ad. Yeah, it definitely looks like it's working on this guy, I think. Yeah, well, you never know. Next week they might be releasing Genius Air that increases your IQ. You never know. Would you try it? Or are you willing to stick to the age-old method of crying in front of the mirror while eating ice cream? I know that's one of my favorites. But if it works, I need some. I need some bad, bro. I need some bad. But speaking of honor, the world's largest pumpkin mosaic honors Ozzy Osbourne. This one's for the spooky season and pumpkin spice latte fans out there, because more than 4,000 pumpkins were used to create a gigantic pumpkin mosaic of Ozzy Osbourne, setting a new Guinness World Record. The pumpkin portrait measured more than 9,000 square feet. Fans called it a fitting tribute to the Prince of Darkness, but I'm just thinking, imagine carving 4,000 pumpkins. And also, here's another question. Who's gonna clean this up? Because it's gonna look nice for a couple days, but then it's gonna start rotting and, mold and maybe maggots. I don't know. I know this guy's a Prince of Darkness, but I don't know if he likes maggots like that. I'm not sure. But I'm sure Ozzy would be proud. R.I.P. Ozzy. But what do you think? Do you think it's cool? Or do you think it's straight up gorgeous? Gourd like a pumpkin. Gourd. I didn't write that. I swear I'm funny. I swear I'm funny. I swear. But speaking of funny, if everyone here is having a great time, we really would appreciate, if you like this video, hit the like button. If you like this channel, hit subscribe. And maybe if you don't want to miss anything else, hit that notification bell. It really helps us a lot, so thank you very much. But moving on to story number 4. Man breaks world record for surfing on the same wave for 8 hours. Now we're riding the wave of another world record, as this Austrian surfer Maximilian Neubach, how do you pronounce that? I don't know. Editor help. Anyway, this Austrian surfer Max stayed on one single wave for 8 hours, 5 minutes, and 44 seconds, smashing the world record for longest continuous surf. Just think about that, 8 hours of straight surfing on a single wave. He rode an artificial river wave in Vienna, which makes sense because I was really wondering, how does a wave stay a wave in the ocean for 8 hours and 5 minutes and 44 seconds? I don't know. But apparently it's not a real wave, it's an artificial wave. But still counts. But by the end, this man's legs were jelly and his arms were noodles. and he just wiped out. But he does deserve a big old meal and some Gatorade. I sure think he should have some, because 8 hours, oh my god. I mean, I can barely stand in the shower for 10 minutes without starting to get tired, so props to you, Max, good job. But what do you think? Do you think this record is ever going to be broken? Who knows? It sounds pretty hard, honestly. But speaking of no way, this 6-pound phone case is built to cure your smartphone addiction. Now moving on to one of the more chaotic inventions of the year, a tech startup made a 6-pound or 2.7 kilogram phone case that's intentionally huge and inconvenient to help people use their phones less. And it really works because you can't pick it up without regretting your life choices. And this really makes me go, huh? But hear me out, it's kind of like if you saw a headline that said, "This doctor is saying you can cure your smoking addiction by putting dog poop on all your cigarettes." Of course it's gonna work, but why would I do that? And get this, they call this the weight of attention, which honestly sounds like a really good Midwest emo album. And the creator said the point is to make you feel the real burden of constant phone use. Deep, I guess. Just imagine trying to take a selfie with that thing, instant workout. It's like a phone, a gym, a life lesson, all in one. So, I guess it's useful. But what do you think? Do you think you'd ever use this? Let us know in the comments below. But speaking of mysteries, scientists have finally solved the mystery of a lake that's been booming like cannons for centuries. For hundreds of years, residents living near Lake Seneca have reported hearing a massive boom like a cannon firing, and no one could ever explain it. But imagine living next to a lake that just explodes for no reason. I'm impressed people still live there because I would lose my mind. And I'm also a little bit too superstitious, so I might think it's some kind of evil sea monster or something. Well, apparently this phenomenon is called the Seneca Guns, and now the mystery has been solved. Scientists say it's caused by gas bubbles and seismic activity beneath the lake, which builds up over time to create a shockwave that echoes across the water. So people were thinking there were all types of theories like superstitions and evil monsters, but the reality is, the Earth has just been farting. Loudly. Very loudly. Locals really used to think it was supernatural, but turns out the Earth was just letting one rip as loud as possible. Just a massive, massive Earth fart. And that's cool, I guess. Imagine explaining it to the people who were really superstitious and just telling them it's an Earth fart. I don't think they'd be really happy about that. But what do you think? Have you ever heard of an Earth fart? I know I never have. But moving on to something a little bit cuter, this puppy in training goes viral for refusing to work. Now, taking a step back from some of the more serious stories here on Odd News Weekly, we now have something to make you go, aww, because we care about you here at Odd News Weekly. If you've ever had a bad day at the airport, take a look at this. A puppy in training to become a service dog was filmed causing adorable chaos while waiting for a flight. This pup in training just completely refused to get up and work, and honestly, same. I mean, you should see me on Mondays. This was probably filmed on a Monday. This dog knows what's up. And the comments on TikTok range from golden retrievers are the funniest to I think this service dog needs a service dog. But nothing like a funny golden retriever to brighten up your day, am I right? But now, moving on to something that's a little bit more serious and a little crazy. Police swarm a woman's yard after she finds a skull in a bag. Imagine this, you're just in your backyard hanging out and then you just find a skull inside of a bag. Yeah, because this is what happened to this woman in California who called the police. Officers rushed to the scene. I mean, just look at how many officers were around in the TikTok that Haley posted. But here's what makes the story even crazier. 20 years ago, someone from the house across the street was convicted for murder. And the same week they found the bag, the murderer was released from prison. A drama! But sorry to burst your bubble. Forensics actually found that it was just a skull made of concrete. So yeah, just nothing. But still, scary times we live in. You never know what you could find in a bag in your garden. Never know. But what do you think? Do you think the neighbor was still involved somehow? Very, very sus. But speaking of sus, this woman turns on her bathtub for the first time in 10 years. Take a look. Moving on to more disgusting news, a woman went viral after turning on her jetted bathtub that hadn't been used in a decade, and the water that came out looked like pure nightmare fuel. I mean, we're talking brown sludge, mold, unidentified life forms. This is the forbidden soup. But plumbers later said it's normal because stagnant water and leftover oils create buildup in old jets. But still, imagine sitting in your bathtub and then turning on those jets without knowing, and then you just become mummified in the disgusting sludge. Goodbye forever. But the moral of the story here is if you have something disgusting going on in your home, you should probably post a TikTok about it because this woman's video now hit 27 million views at the time of recording. 27 million. So your claimed internet fame might just be hanging around in your house, so go take a video of it, post it on TikTok, and you might get rich and famous. Advice from me. Maybe I should do that, because I really should, maybe, because maybe there's some disgusting stuff, and maybe I get rich, I don't know. But what do you think? Would you post something disgusting from your home? You might just get rich. Let's get rich, huh? Let's try it out. Let's get rich. Let's see who gets rich. Good luck. And moving on to number 10. A message in a bottle from a World War I soldier found after 109 years. And finally, something wholesome to end all the chaos. A message in a bottle written by an Australian World War I soldier over a century ago was just discovered on a beach. The bottle survived for 109 years perfectly sealed when a father and daughter found it when they were walking down the beach. These messages were written by soldiers Malcolm Alexander Neville and William Kirk Harley. Neville died a few months after writing the letter, but now, more than 100 years later, his message finally reached the world and his family. And his grandnieces and nephews have been in constant communication since they got the letter, showing how their great uncle Neville's love continues to connect and make their family even stronger. Can you believe it? A message that finally reaches his family 109 years after it was sent out. Incredible. So remember, friends, don't keep it bottled up. Tell your family you love them. Tell your friends you love them. You never know what's going to happen in this life. You never know. Tell your friends you love them. But speaking of telling your friends you love them and not bottling it up, I would like to thank everyone here for reaching the very end of this episode of Odd News Weekly. Some of you are watching every single week, and we really appreciate that so much from the bottom of our hearts. And if you could hit a like, subscribe, and notification bell, everything, we would really appreciate that too. No, we really would. But thank you guys for hanging out, and we'll see you next week for another round of crazy news stories. But there is something you should never forget. Stay odd, friends. Bye!